Click the links to join the channel here over on Subscribestar. So Apple versus Elon and the future of free speech. There's a lot of energy here that feels like 2016 with Trump, where people were just tired of the mainstream stuff. And so what's coming out here is the idea of him creating his own phone operating, Android operating system offshoot, and an app store and whatever else that goes along with that, which like the left is just losing their mind over that. But even, if you look at that just kind of neutrally, goes, yeah, this is right up this guy's alley. Why would you think that he wouldn't be like, this is an obvious fit with the technology he has now. And now the difference is, yes, it's not it's not rocket science. It's not the easiest thing in the world, and other people have tried it. But the difference is there's a vibe behind this guy in a way that there's not behind Apple and Google, who obviously make good stuff. But people, it's like the 2016 thing with Trump. People are tired of Apple and Google just censoring every little thing, and just like everyone self censors now because you're afraid of these puppet masters. And so, yes, if Elon comes out with his own phone, tablet, operating system, apps, or whatever, that's not the hard. It's like someone goes, "It would take at least 5 years." I think I think it'd be much less than that to come to a finished product and have something out on the market. Because 99% of the stuff has been done before you. You take the best of what's been done, and you simply create your own thing. It's like that's not an insurmountable hurdle. And the difference is he has a built-in audience in the way that other company, Amazon and Microsoft, didn't have that same kind of loyalty. So yeah, and the same thing with Twitter X. If that goes ahead, and there's no reason it shouldn't go ahead. Like some of these things, like the things that people are saying now. I think there's a bot on Twitter. It's something like "remind me in 5 years," as if I would have an account more than like 5 weeks. Because some of the things that people are saying is like it is like what they would be saying 15 years ago with the iPhone or with the Android. Like, this will never work. This will never work. Like, I think, if you said that to somebody off the street, that might have been one thing, but you're saying this to this guy who, like, on the platform that he literally owns. It's a little bit disingenuous to think, oh yeah, this guy doesn't know what he's doing with tech. It's like, come on, like, love or hate the guy or him or Trump in 2016, you got to admit that there's a certain amount of energy behind him. But like there's no need to be petty, is what I'm trying to say. Like some of the hate for this guy is just, you look at me like, really, you don't think he'd be good with tech? You don't think he'd be able to get a smartphone off the ground? Really? Because they're all made in the same place. Like, the hardware is one thing. Like, you can get the hardware off the shelf, right? The software, so it's you take what has been written before and you just change it a little bit to get rid of the bloatware and make a privacy-based phone. You really don't think he'd be capable of that? The guy who's got some electric cars and spaceships, and like you're saying, he's not capable of tech on the tech that he owns. It seems a little weird. Like, it seems like what it is Trump derangement syndrome, but it's Elon Musk derangement syndrome. So I don't know what happens when if Trump, I guess he has to start tweeting on Twitter if he's running for office. What happens when they're both in there and like, oh my God, what would the back and forth between them be like? Well, the first thing that's going to happen is Parler, Getter, and what's the other one? Truth are gonna go belly up. There's not enough room. Gab might survive. Gab's a little bit different, but and even that's on the thinnest of thin ice. But there's like, because Gab doesn't go through the App Store. The other three apps do go through the App Store. That's why I say Gab might survive, because there's loyalty to Gab that there isn't to anything that's going through the App Store. There's no point to have three of the exact same things going through the App Store. So but now, as it turns out, well, Twitter might be bypassing the App Store too. Just go to like the website and download it for your phone or something. Anyway, so the left is begging for censorship, and to hear the left is so effing bizarre. They're cheering for Apple, $2 trillion Apple, biggest company in the world, I think, to crush this smaller company and to just beg for censorship. Like, honestly, beg for censorship. They try not to couch it in that many words, but that's another interesting thing is it's being pushed where the left wing is being pushed to be the party of some very, very abhorrent things, and to say that their enemies are the bad guys because the enemies are the party of free speech and protecting kids. And you look at the left, and when you kind of put the screws to them, they're like, yeah, ultimately we're the party of censorship. That's a weird dogma to defend. Like, you want to censor people. It's like, and then the left wing, the moderate left wing, has to justify it in their mind if they want to stay on the left and go, yeah, we need to be told what to say and what to think. And they're looking around each other. If you're over 40 or on the left and you're justifying censorships, have a stern talking to yourself. Have a stern talking to yourself. No, no censorship. We don't need censorship. So to see the left wing begging for that on Twitter, just it blows my doors off. You know, I think back. Maybe you have to be over a certain age to look back and think like, yeah, you guys wouldn't have said this a few decades ago. It's weird. It's weird. It's like you've been completely subverted and corrupted. You ever think about that? They want Apple to destroy Twitter and they want government regulations. And the thing with like the people who are, I don't know if they're aware of the constitutional provisions of government regulations. It's like that's not a bad thing because suddenly you have a constitutionally protected free speech argument when you have so many government connections. So they want old left wing Twitter back, which isn't all this stuff is an admission that yes, the left wing controlled Twitter, controlled all of social media, controls every other aspect of social media other than this one. And you know, I don't know if I want to go into this, but I saw a little bit of that interview on Tim's live stream. It's a 20-minute interview with some of the very hottest guests on Earth, and you hear that interview and you hear Tim, you go, you just there's no point in doing any of this. And don't get me wrong, the rapper guy shouldn't have walked out, but you hear Tim and you just know you see the golden cage he's trapped in, and you realize he's like, well, you know, he makes $1 million a month being on the mainstream social media. Do you think he's going to do anything that impacts that? Not a chance in hell. Now, in his defense, to his credit, him and the people on the channel, they do very good work, and it's like the right wing looks at that and goes, no, they're not going far enough. They just get kicked off. It's like there's an invisible energy shield. You touch it, and it's like you just go up and you just get scorched. But they come as close as they possibly can. They lead the horse to water, and it's like it allows a lot of other people to make that final leap. So I have nothing, like no hate for him, but then to hear him afterwards, like just it hurts to see. What was that in Pulp Fiction? That little spark of light when it was it Ving Rhames talking to Bruce Willis, and he's giving that little lecture. It's like you think how different movies were just 20 years ago. Anyway, they want old left wing Twitter back. Yes, they own left wing Twitter, and gee, don't you think by now? How many times have I said this? That social media platforms should be constitutionally protected free speech platforms. Like, isn't free speech that critically important to a free nation? Apparently, not enough people think that way, and not enough people on the right are willing to speak up against it or for it, which is disappointing. You look at people on the right, and that's why they call you guys wings of the same bird. You just want things to continue as they are. Take those paychecks, take those foreign investments, give more money to foreign countries. I will say that's one thing people are waking up to on Twitter is they're looking at the taxpayer money. It's not government money. It's not public schools. It's taxpayer money. Oh yeah, it's kind of weird. We give all this money to other countries, and we have homeless tent cities in America. It feels like we might have gone off. Maybe don't give any of the foreign money at all, like any taxpayer money whatsoever. Just if you have money to give away, you should probably cut taxes. Oh, we can't do that because taxes are control. Anyway, so Elon was talking about how he's going to release the logs of how Twitter used to censor people. And apparently that also outraged the left wing Twitter because this is their gaslighting technique. They do this with many other things. Is they say, well, there was no censorship. So what are you talking about? You're crazy. There was none. But if there was, they deserved it because they're all right wing Hugo Boss. So I mean, like, let's just admit that there was some censorship. I mean, you've all used Twitter over the years. If you've been there, like you know what it's like, and you know it's different now. So some big companies paused advertising on Twitter, and today, for the first time, I saw small companies have started advertising. They're buying those promotional tweet ads. A lot of like right-wing religious groups are on there now, which is just tweaking the nose of the left wing on Twitter. People are so out, and they get really upset when you buy a blue check mark. I'm not sure why that bothers them so much, but is it worth $8? Like one guy said, like I don't care about the blue check mark. It's like it's just $8 a month to support free speech. It's worth it. So people are outraged at Musk, but you know, of course, they're excusing Balenciaga. Really makes you think. So who cut ties with Balenciaga? Did they get debanked? Did they lose all their other banking connections or their other endorsements? Did people disavow Balenciaga? Oh no, just weird how they disavowed some other people. But Balenciaga's fine, I guess. Does Epstein lose his bank account? I don't think he did. I don't know. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. So really, all this stuff kind of activates the almonds. And here's the thing: is I can admit to you, I know nobody on the left is listening to this. Elon is dog whistling to tweak the left. Yeah, I can admit that. If you can go through his tweets and you can see it, it's pretty clear. The thing is, they deserve it. They're irrational people, and if you like, he has to know what he's doing. If you can trigger them, hey, go for it. He did kick off several communist groups who threatened to go to Gab and Telegram. They said we're going to dox people and we're gonna hurt people. Cause harm to these people and like out them to their community. It was just translation for doxing. Here's the thing, which is fine. Yeah, if you're in those groups and you want to go to Gab and Telegram, for sure. If you're on the left and you spend time in right wing circles, you'll be converted to the right wing, because if the right wing has free speech, they win. It's the meme of the FBI guy getting converted to the right but laughing at 4chan memes. The right wing wins in the open marketplace of ideas. So yeah, by all means, go be a lurker on Gab and Telegram. It's like you will convert. Like 99% of you will convert. There's no way around that. So Apple is pulling out of Twitter, which is great because it's like you might as well accelerate a lot of this stuff. The obvious solution has got to be tech independence. So Twitter, Tesla needs an operating system, a phone, a tablet, a laptop, and an app store. Tesla phone was inevitable. I'm sure when he must have been thinking about this concept for years. It's how could a tech guy possibly have a phone that ties into all his other tech? Yeah, that's what crazy talk that is. I mean, thing is, it's like they'd say that about, gee, he didn't build that Tesla. He's okay, so he's gonna buy an electric car company and get it to market. That's just crazy talk. Nobody wants a electric car. I think the first car was actually electric, but he was using probably acid batteries. It's like, yeah, but people love their Teslas now. It's like it's crazy until you do it, until you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and then suddenly it's not so crazy. So the phones, hardware, operating systems, app store. It's like, yeah, I don't think it's that difficult. And two, more importantly, there's desire for it. There's a ton of desire for something, and there's money at the ready. And it's money from a segment of the population who is tech savvy, who likes Tesla, who likes Musk, who likes the tech he's doing, who likes that brand, and they like free speech, and they want privacy, and they want a phone free of bloatware. And I feel pretty confident that if he comes out with a phone, it's going to blow the doors off of Apple and Google because of like what he's been saying on Twitter. He values free speech, he values privacy, and he definitely doesn't value the gatekeeping reptilian overlords of Google and Apple. See, if I had a computer, I would have edited that last little word out. So Musk is red hot right now, and that does a lot to drive a brand. I mean, he's red hot in a way that Google, Apple, and the rest of the companies just never, because he didn't have a face that you could put to it. And it's the same thing with the Trump. It's like you put a face to it, and everyone else is a politician, and they're talking like an a-hole. And then you hear someone who's an a-hole in a different way. Don't get me wrong, everyone's an a-hole in their own way, but it's like it's a fresh perspective of, okay, this analogy's kind of getting, but it's something fresh, it's something different. He's not going to talk to you in the same old way as just a standard, like a DeSantis guy. It's like, that's why there's no energy behind DeSantis, because like, he's a politician. But people are really, really tired of politicians. People want free speech. They're tired of Google and Apple. Musk has got a lot of momentum, and he's had momentum for years, so I don't think that's going to fade away anytime soon. And people like they do this. I mean, I don't know if he can run for office, but like, there's a lot of energy behind him. So yeah, Apple is a $2 trillion company, and they're showing the comparison. Like, Apple phone, and Apple's going to come out with a car. Could a Tesla phone blow the doors off of Apple? Yes, yes, and here's why: because Musk can sell something that Apple will not sell, a free speech, uncensored phone. That Apple and Google, that is a bridge too far for those mainstream companies, which are, there's more to it than this. I will say very, very tied into the DNC, which, as it turns out, if you've been following crypto, is tied into a bunch like FTX. You've probably heard about that, and you've probably heard about Tether. I'm going to do this video on Tether, and it's like I tried to do it before for Odyssey and BitChute. It's like an hour-long video. It's really, there's just so much bad out there with with the Bankman-Fried and the DNC and some other characters. And you look at it like, oh, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This stuff is all actually out there, and here's the evidence. Like, oh, it's kind of. How many times do I have to say again? Like, don't you think our representatives should be representing us? Should be doing something? Oh, yeah. Apparently not. I mean, not only are they not representative, but one of the things that's kind of frustrating, and the thing is, to be fair, if you're listening to this, I know we're on the same page, is that not enough other people are getting pissed off about it. And I will say also that the changing rules of Twitter, you're suddenly seeing a lot of people get pissed off. And here's the one thing, as I have noticed, I said yesterday, is that there's a lot of women who are coming out of the closet against a lot of this stuff. And I think they're not exactly coming out as, I guess, based a little bit, but there's a lot of women who are speaking up against the stuff that's harming kids. And I think it might have something to do with the alphabet stuff, dealing with the turfs. But I've noticed that on Twitter, like there's a lot of women who are coming out and um, they're kind of putting it all on the line. And Elon Musk is actually talking to him and interacting with him. I mean, that's another weird thing about Twitter. It's like that's why Twitter is so. I know I sound like a fanboy, but it's why Twitter is different because you have the guy himself who's interacting with people's tweets. He's on Twitter. He probably spends an hour a day on Twitter every day. It's a part of his life. It's a whole different perspective. It's like, yes, you're going to have a lot of support. There's a lot of people who are going to throw money. Let's see what CNN has to say about this. To throw money behind this because you have the guy himself. People are tired of tech censorship. We feel like, why should Google and Apple, who are, the people with, the tails, why should they control the narrative? Nobody elected our tech overlords. They're not answerable to us. I guess they're answerable to politicians, but not really because if they're worth $2 trillion, I kind of suspect that the politicians will do as they're told. I mean, Nancy Pelosi she's worth $150 million. It's like that alone. And the thing is, to be fair, it's every politician is worth a stupid amount of money. It's like, hey, you guys should pass some kind of law that prevents you from gaining while in office. Like just go in office, no deals, no business, no advantageous business relationships while the time you're in office. Just represent people without that possible conflict of interest dealing with the fiduciary. Can you do that? Sir, that is a bridge too far. We are going to loot the treasury. Yeah, that's all what's actually happening. There's no voting your way out of this. It reminds me of that Corrosion song, but don't say it in the comments. Anyway, so I think the country is actually further right than people think, and I would have edited that part out too if I had it, if I was doing this on computer. But big tech has suppressed the actual temperature of the country for years. So if he sells the Tesla phone, which no, I probably won't buy because I'm sure it'll be like $1,500. I got a great used phone. I got no complaints with this. I think people are going to absolutely be on board with the Tesla phone. People love the brand Tesla. I mean, if anything, if you made like a $2,000 premium ultra platinum phone with like made out of titanium or something, people like to pay more for stuff that's a status symbol. I mean, you could probably, the next thing you do would be tie in with that rapper guy whose name must not be mentioned and start selling tennis shoes. It's like, yeah, that could happen too. I mean, could that be another $1 billion industry? Yeah, all these things could possibly be $1 billion industries. I mean, things are really popping on Twitter right now. But big tech has suppressed the vibe of the country for a long time. So I think you're going to see this pendulum swing back a little bit when you suddenly get people realizing, like, yeah, we're going to have to get back to the concept of free speech being an American value. So if he sells a Tesla phone, which I suspect will happen very shortly, that's going to cut into Apple sales. If he has Twitter X, the video hosting live streaming app, basically, YouTube, Odyssey, whatever, BitChute, that's going to cut into Google's YouTube. And now people go, Google, YouTube, it's the biggest video platform on earth. Yeah, but as someone who makes videos, even in some small way, the censorship is out of this world. If you're telling me that Twitter suddenly has a platform with a little bit less censorship, and it can bypass the app stores, people are going to be all over that because the audience is built in to Twitter. They're already freaking there. YouTube has peaked. The censorship is off the chart. You can't talk about anything that matters. And, like I said, credit to Tim Pool for at least leading the horses as close to the river as they possibly can. Twitter X is not gonna erase YouTube. It's like Facebook is still around. People use Facebook as a huge market cap, but it's like, you know, the vibe of Facebook is over. Like, they're not going to get Facebook back. I mean, they literally just lost $15 billion or some bizarre virtual reality matrix thing. I mean, there's a story there too, but it involves a lot of like hot topics. So it's not so much a story for YouTube. The thing is, if Twitter X will pull market share from Google, absolutely. It could be like Odyssey, but Odyssey had to start from the ground up, and it's a multi-billion-dollar company now. Don't get me wrong, Odyssey is fantastic. It's monetized. It's got cash. You can use currency with Stripe, and it's got crypto built in. But it had to come from the ground up as the alternative media platform that is the freest political speech available. But Twitter is different because it's got an audience built in of, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of people who want a YouTube alternative. So yeah, Twitter X would probably put all the other live streaming platforms out of business. And I hate to sound white pilled on this, but I do have a good feeling about Elon Musk. Somebody I've been paying attention to for a week, so take it with a grain of salt. But he's doing the tech which should have been done since the beginning. Like, tech since the beginning was just moved towards a left wing censorious place. And you look at like how the left wing media is responding to Twitter, and then you look like, oh, so everyone in like CNN, for example, you go, okay, take a ballot, the political compass test for everyone employed at CNN. So 100% of the people polled were left of center. Oh, so what are the odds that they're going to be able to be fair, impartial, and unbiased in their presentation of the news? Zero. There's no chance. You would need an even political bell curve of people working at Twitter. Well, they didn't get into CNN to tell the news. They got into CNN or Disney or all these other companies to craft a narrative. Like, none of this is about money, and none of this is about what it seems. I know how tinfoil hat that sounds, but if I said it 20 years ago, you would think it was tinfoil hat. But I say it now, and you look at the stuff that's going on, you're like, oh yeah, this seems like you're pushing a narrative. Like what was that Disney movie? I think I just did the video. It's coming out in 15 minutes. On Strange World, you look at that, it's like, you knew that movie was gonna bomb when you made it. Like, you knew that. You knew it was gonna bomb. Nobody's into a BLT teenage kid. It's like, that just makes everyone feel weird. And you did it anyway, and you're probably gonna lose $200 million on it. You knew you're gonna lose money on it. You did it anyway. Why'd you do that? They did it to shift the window to thanks, dog, to slowly boil the frog. Just generational propaganda, generational brainwashing. It's a challenge to discuss this on social media without. I mean, like, all it takes for YouTube is one slip, and you're permanently banned on YouTube. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe. Get on Twitter, and you can watch Elon move the window back to the right a little bit. And also, by platforming people, he's bringing people back, right? Anyone who got kicked off, or almost anyone got kicked off. And if there's a few exceptions, again, like, give the guy a couple of months to figure things out. So all those people who got kicked off are going to come back. They're going to be platformed. They're the marginalized and oppressed diversity of thought. They're going to help move the window to the right and counter, like, the left wing has a lot of toxic alt-left extremist hate-filled ideas, anti-Western, I'll say. But you're going to have these right of center voices who counter that narrative. You look at the left wing, it's like, I thought you guys valued diversity of thought and free speech. Isn't that the left wing? Not so much. That hasn't been the left wing in about 30. Like, the longer I go back and look at it, I think, like, okay, let's go back to the 90s, 30 years ago. It was already shifting by then. And I mean, you can go back further and realize, like, oh, that whole push for free speech, like, once they got into universities and started gaining control of universities, as their control increased, it's an inverse relationship. As their control increased, their need for free speech decreased, to the point now where the left wing is anti-free speech. There's that image of Berkeley in the 60s marching for free speech, and then decades later, in current year, they're marching against free speech, like using violence to silence dissent. Like, so you guys are the core of totalitarian authoritarians the whole time, weren't you? It's like just a subversive little. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Very sincere thanks to everyone who's made Cash App donations and coffee donations. And I will see you guys on the next episode.